If you've watched any of my other videos at all over the past year, you might have noticed that the set, the background where I record my content, has changed quite a bit. Back in January of 2021, I was working out of a one-bed flat in East London where I lived with my girlfriend, and then we spent 6 months from March 2021 to September of that year living with my parents, and that was because our house, the one that I'm in now, was being finished, and so I've now got this awesome room to work from. So just like I did a tour of my temporary studio space back in April of last year, I figured I would make a tour video of this new space, showing you the gear that I'm currently using for all of my various work projects and give you an idea of my plans for the coming year. Now let me make this clear, I don't do this to brag or to flex in any way. I'm making this video because I know there are lots of people out there just like me who absolutely nerd out on content like this, and perhaps some of the things that I've done will give you some inspiration for your own place. And I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on how I could make this space better, so do leave me a comment. This space is the culmination of more than 10 years of working, saving and spending. So let's talk about the space first. This is a double bedroom and it's a really decent size, about 3 meters by 3.5 meters, with this little alcove section over here, so loads of space to work with. Essentially, what I've done is created 4 areas of the room. I didn't intend to do that. Before we moved in, I had all of these grand plans of drawing out the space and modeling it out and coming up with a really awesome design, but it turns out I've got absolutely no interior design vision whatsoever, and so this room came together by accident really. So the 4 sections are storage over here, a bookcase over here, my voiceover booth over here, and then my desk over here. Let me show you each section in turn. I'll start with the desk area. This is where I spend most of my time. It's where I'm recording the A-roll for this video right now. I prop my camera up on the windowsill in front of me and use the Parrot teleprompter to help me record my videos. I've honestly tried ad-libbing them rather than reading them from a prompter, but I just waffle on. They're much better this way. The camera I'm using, by the way, is the phenomenal new Sony a7 IV. I got this just before Christmas, and every video on the channel since the Eufy video on the 17th of December has been shot exclusively using this camera. It's incredible. Before that, I was using my Olympus OMD EM10 Mark III, which, as much as I like it, just isn't great in low light shooting conditions, or my iPhone 13 Pro, which is a great camera phone, but isn't as good as a dedicated camera like this. I'm still learning both photography and videography, and definitely not looking to turn this channel into a photography channel, but if you'd be interested in a review of the A7 IV, drop me a comment and let me know. Okay, so the desk is a Jarvis desk by a company called Fully. I've had it a few years now. It's a sit stand in white with white legs, and it's excellent. I love that when I want to work sitting down, which is most of the day, I can do so, but at a moment's notice I can move to a standing position. It's got this memory function for up to 4 working heights. I am looking to swap this out, probably later on in the year, for a corner version of this desk in a darker colour. This white was bought for the flat we were living in a couple of years ago, and I'd like something darker this time around and Fully do an excellent L-shaped version of this, which I really think would suit the corner setup I've got here. On the desk itself then is everything that I use on a daily basis to edit the digital content that I create. And in case you didn't know, I work on various projects including YouTube, voiceovers for corporate clients and educational content, and I essentially do everything from here. The heart of the operation is my 14-inch M1 Pro MacBook Pro. This is the base model with no extras, 512GB SSD, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 14-core GPU, and it's blazing quick when working in Final Cut Pro, even with the high-end footage from the Sony a7 IV. There's not been a single time where it struggled. All of my plugins work perfectly on it. It's a super impressive computer. It's replaced my M1 MacBook Air, and I'm working on content at the moment where I'm comparing the 2 computers across a range of different tasks. Keep an eye on the channel for that new content coming soon. The MacBook Pro gets its charge via USB-C, which is connected to this, my Pro Display XDR. I've had this for 18 months now, and yes, it's an insanely expensive piece of hardware, but I look at this as a builder investing in a decent van or tools. This is where I sit for 10 hours a day, 5 or sometimes even 6 days a week, depending on how much work I've got on. And for me, when I look at it that way, I can absolutely justify the cost of this. It's a phenomenal display, and because it's Apple, it works flawlessly with my Mac. Both this and my M1 MacBook Air can power this in full 6K resolution. The screen real estate is perfect for everything that I do, and I actually dual screen it by having the laptop on this stand next to the display. This stand is nothing special, by the way. It's a monitor arm with laptop holder. I just took the monitor arm off and it cost about £40. The Pro display is being held up by an Ergotron LX mount. This is designed for heavy duty displays. It cost about £200, but I just couldn't justify buying a Pro display and then mounting it on something that could break or drop it. My mouse and keyboard are nothing special. These are the regular wireless mouse and keyboard from Apple. I have considered swapping out to something like a Logitech alternative. I just haven't justified spending the money yet. These do the job perfectly well. Here on the left is my iPad Pro 2020 attached to the Magic Keyboard, and I keep this here as a second screen. I sometimes have YouTube videos playing in the background while I'm working. It sounds really silly, but I actually really enjoy having silent walking tours or driving videos on in the background while I'm working sometimes. The view from my window is lovely, but it can get a bit boring, and it's sometimes nice to feel that connection when you're working from home of seeing another part of the world. Or sometimes I might have my email open there, keeping it off of my main screen, and sometimes, if it's useful, I use it with Sidecar, and it becomes a third display. Audio is handled by these, my Genelec 8010As. I've owned these for about 9 years now, and they still sound as good as the day that I bought them. They're professional studio monitors designed to deliver a really honest, flat audio experience, and I've got them on these stands which help point them up and towards my ears. They sound amazing, and they can get insanely loud if you need them to. Powering them is my Universal Audio Apollo Twin interface, which not only allows me to record using legendary Universal Audio preamps, it also gives me access to a bunch of UA plugins emulating classic audio gear like the Teletronic LA2A compressor, the Pultec range of EQs, and tons of others. My only gripe with this interface is just how painfully slow Universal Audio are at supporting the latest operating systems, and now the latest Mac Silicon. They still don't officially support Monterey or even M1 Macs. It's a real shame, and there's no excuse for it really, considering M1 Macs have been around for over a year now, and although I can generally work with this interface without any major issues, it is a bit buggy due to that lack of proper compatibility. Plugged into the Apollo are my headphones. These are SP5s by Adam Audio, and they're the best set of headphones I've ever owned. I use them whenever I want to edit video or audio content without using my speakers, and they deliver that same clear, flat studio quality sound that I get from my speakers. I keep them hooked underneath the desk. Please forgive the absolute lack of cable management going on underneath here. I'm still working out the best way to deal with the mess of cables that I currently have under the desk. Attached to the desk are a couple of devices that help me with my filming. First up is the key light by Elgato, which creates a nice bright yet soft light that I can control via an app on my phone. If I'm shooting A-roll, I have this pointed up towards the ceiling to bounce light down, and if I'm shooting an unboxing on the desk, I flip the light around and point it directly down. Next to that is the microphone that I use when I'm recording A-roll. This is the MKE 600 microphone by Sennheiser. It's excellent, and I'm able to position it just out of frame, yet still pick up a great level of clear, vibrant audio as it's pointed directly down to where I'm sitting. It's a shotgun microphone, and I plug it directly into the Sony a7 IV when filming for ease of use. I could plug it into the Apollo if needed to, but I just find it much easier this way. Both of these items are held in place using Elgato mounting arms. Then over here on the right is an Ikea lamp that comes with a built-in clamp with a hue light bulb inside of it. The light was dirt cheap, it cost about £14 and the bulb was much more expensive than that, but it does mean that I can control my desk lamp using the same hue controls as the other lights in the room. Then just over here to the left of the desk is a camera tripod setup. This is actually a cheap light stand that I've added a ball head to, but it means that I can very quickly set my camera up here facing towards me, and it gives me an alternative shooting angle, which is really good for any content where I'm demonstrating things on the computer for online courses, that kind of thing. Okay, so that's the desk area covered. Let's move over now to my storage area. This was actually extremely difficult to figure out what to do with. I wanted something that would perfectly fit the space available here, and in the end I settled on two of these Ikea metal frames. They're designed for garages and have a pretty impressive weight-bearing load level, and so they're perfect for this corner of my room. I then picked up 6 of these plastic boxes from a local home store and have labelled each one up. Right now they've become a dumping ground for stuff, and my plan is to get into each of them and do some more organising to help me use them more effectively. Up top, I've got more boxes, and then I've got this little YouTube plaque. Now obviously this isn't an official one. My girlfriend had this made as a gift last year when I first got monetized, and it's therefore got a lot of sentimental value to me, but it's also kind of nice to have it around as a reminder of how far the channel has come along. I'm edging ever closer to hitting that 10,000 subscriber mark and did over 1 million views last year. So I would like to take a moment to say a massive thank you to you, the people who view my content. None of this would be possible without you, so thank you. On the top left and right of the storage are 2 more Ikea lamps, the same as the one on the desk, and again those have got Hue bulbs in, connecting them to the Hue network of the rest of the room. And I'll just take a moment to show you that. I've got this dimmer switch V2 over here with a socket cover that means that I now use this as my light switch when I walk into the room, and it allows me to power all of the lights in the room on and off, as well as cycle through the various scenes that I use, which is really handy. Let's bounce across quickly to the opposite corner of the room now to show you this. This is my Isovox vocal booth, which I've owned for a few years now. It's been seriously well used and abused, unfortunately, but it doesn't matter, it still does the job. Essentially, this is a small vocal booth that you walk into. You can prop your phone or your tablet up on the shelf on the inside, and then you just do your voiceover thing. My fiance and I actually have a voiceover business that we run alongside all of the other things that we do, and this booth is a pretty crucial part of that. It doesn't completely shut out sound, but it massively reduces the impact of outside audio and gets rid of a lot of the room echo. And then these panels that I've hung up around the room kind of get rid of the rest of the room echo. So I'm now seriously happy with how our voiceovers sound when we record them in this booth. The microphone in here is a Shure SM7B, not a traditional voiceover microphone, I know, but just a solid all-rounder that originally was purchased so that I could bounce between using it here in the booth and also use it as my desk, but I've since purchased a second microphone. I like this one so much. So finally, the last part of the room is over here. This is a glass shelf unit that I also purchased from Ikea, and this is definitely more of a decorative space at the moment. I was using this as a background for videos, but I've since changed the look of my videos, and so this area now only really features when I'm shooting training content at this angle here. I do also kind of use it as spillover storage. I've got some Apple boxes, my HomePod Mini, which is connected and I do use, my spare SM7B microphone, my Olympus camera setup, and my Windows laptop for if I ever create any Windows content. And then down here, I've got a couple of items related to my love of music production, something I used to do every day and now don't do so often, but it's definitely something I want to get back into this year. So there you go, that's my office/studio setup right now in early 2022. I don't have any major plans for the space this year, other than perhaps being able to swap out the desk here for something L-shaped in a darker colour, and perhaps a bit more acoustic treatment. Other than that, I feel I've kind of got the space how I want it right now. What do you think of it? Any suggestions for changes that I could make? Or want to let me know about something you're working on for your own setup at the moment? Drop me a comment and let's talk about it. And as ever, if you found this video useful, do please consider leaving me a like and subscribing to my channel for more content like this in the future. See you on the next video.